President Trump made his first speech to the United Nations General Assembly today. It was an unusual moment, even for the august body where Nikita Khrushchev once banged his shoe on a desk. President Trump touted America's military and economic strength, ridiculed our foes, and threatened to crush North Korea if necessary. Watch.
No nation on earth has an interest in seeing this band of criminals arm itself with nuclear weapons and missiles. The United States has great strength and patience, but if it is forced to defend itself or its allies, we will have no choice but to totally destroy North Korea. Rocket Man is on a suicide mission for himself and for his regime. The Iran deal was one of the worst and most one-sided transactions the United States has ever entered into. Frankly, that deal is an embarrassment to the United States.
Bill Richardson is a former governor of New Mexico. He was also President Clinton's UN ambassador. He's also been to North Korea many times, and he joins us tonight. Hey, Governor, thanks for coming on.
Nice to be with you, Tucker.
So there are lots of parts of this speech I thought they were interesting, but the two that jumped out at me as maybe a departure from previous foreign policy regimes were these. In America, we do not seek to impose our way of life on anyone. That's a massive change. And then, as President of the United States, I will always put America first. Does this represent, do you think, a pivot to a foreign policy that revolves around America's interests?
Well, it is President Trump's foreign policy, and he was elected to carry it out, and he was sending a message to the UN that he was going to follow it. On the good side, I'm fairly critical of his foreign policy. On the good side, he seemed to embrace the need to have a coalition of support on issues like terrorism, like Iran, like North Korea. He acknowledged the UN needed some reforms. What was positive about the UN leadership, the Secretary General, that was positive. I thought his tone yesterday towards the UN using multilateralism, which he rejected in the campaign, as a tool in American foreign policy was positive. You know, where I had my problems, Tucker, was when he referred to North Korea and Iran. I mean, my question is, okay, it's good to be strong, to say that we're going to defend themselves, but is there a strategy behind that? And I don't see it, but I know we'll get into this.
So here's the confusing part for me. So he wants to see North Korea disarm. I think everybody does. Why would North Korea ever disarm after what the Obama administration did to Muammar Gaddafi in Libya? We said at the time, you got to disarm. No more chem bio programs, no nuclear program. He said, okay, fine, I'll do what you ask. And then thanks to Hillary Clinton and Samantha Power, we killed him anyway. So isn't that a really clear message to leaders around the world? Keep your nuclear program.
Well, I think what Kim Jong Un wants to do, and look, I've been there 8 times. I don't know what he wants to do, what his end game is. You know, I don't think he's suicidal, but he's very unpredictable. I think what he has said, if you look at a speech 4 days ago, he said he wants nuclear equivalency with the United States. That means he's going to be building up his missiles, his nuclear weapons. But in the end, I think he's also sending a signal. I will negotiate with you, the United States, not with China, not with South Korea, not with Japan. But I think he's reaching a point where if he is able, technologically, and I think he's very close to be able to hit the United States, hit the mainland, hit Guam, I think it's fairly clear it's soon. He's ready to talk. That's what I interpret, but I don't know. Right. I dealt with his father's regime. I think there's possibly an opportunity now for diplomacy. And my worry about the president, all right, he has to say he's going to protect the country. He's got to say he's going to annihilate after all of these crazy missile tests and nuclear tests. But what's the end game? What's our diplomacy? What is our negotiation? I mean, I don't think a preemptive military strike is going to work. We got troops there. South Korea's got 25 million people. I think it's diplomacy and negotiation. And
well, I don't think anybody thinks that. I don't think any person thinks a preemptive military strike is a good idea, including the Trump people. Let me ask you a totally honest, nonpartisan question. Give me the most honest answer you can. Do you sense that there's a bipartisan push in Washington to push the president toward military conflict with Iran, coming from the same people who basically made America weaker in previous generations with their dumb foreign policy ideas? Do you feel that?
No,
happening?
I don't think so. You know, one good thing I will tell you, I've met General Kelly. I think he's brought some order into the national security team, the National Security Council, Defense, State. I was impressed with the way that he's handling some of the foreign policy issues through.
But I don't mean him, though. I mean the sort of freelance foreign policy intellectual class in Washington, which again has been wrong about everything, but they seem to be pushing this administration toward a more bellicose posture with Iran, and then I think toward conflict, military conflict. You don't see any evidence of that at all? Am I being crazy?
No, I do see that. I did a conference today with Governor Jeb Bush, and my view is that the Iran deal, the nuclear deal, keep it in our pocket. It's not perfect, but then hit hard on Iran's support for terrorism. They have 7 American prisoners there, including a guy named Levinson, who, you know, we don't know where he is.
It's awful. Former
we should
FBI guy.
work on Yemen, on Syria, on you know, weapons of mass destruction. What we don't want is 2 nuclear powers.
Yeah, you don't.
North Korea and Iran. So yeah, I think the president should use some diplomacy, keep the nuclear agreement, work on these other issues. That's my view.
Governor Bill Richardson, thanks a lot for that.
All right.
It's been more than 10 months since the 2016 election. Hillary Clinton has not moved on. Up next, we'll talk about a recent interview where she said she's open to challenging the results and demanding that she be made president. Stay tuned.